Hi, this is Brandon from Watches on You. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Panerai Luminor Marina 1950 3-day 47 millimeters. Let's take this down to the table so you guys can get a closer look at it. Alright, so now let's take a closer look at the Panerai Luminor Marina 1950 3 days in a 47 millimeter case. So right off the bat, I just want to say that we're here at JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who has this watch currently on sale pre-owned. And they have many other pre-owned watches, and they're also an official authorized retailer of many high-end luxury wristwatch brands. So now let's get back to this watch. So as I said before, this watch has a 47 millimeter stainless steel case, which appears pretty large on the wrist. It's very similar to other Panerais, but it's very desirable. Panerai fans love those large case sizes, and I actually have to say the brand as a whole is kind of growing on me a little bit more. I actually prefer the white dial Panerais. I think they look really, really cool. They're kind of actually similar in their kind of color scheme to a Polar Explorer 2 that Rolex makes, obviously. I really like that classic styling, although I know the original Panerais didn't have white dials, but that's kind of irrelevant. So now let's actually move on to the movement of this watch, which is probably my favorite feature. I mean, the case is very well finished. It's got polished and brushed surfaces. It looks really nice. It's got the classic crown guard that Panerai uses with its sort of locked and unlocked settings. If you haven't seen that, it works kind of like this. So if you want to actually set the watch, it's a little hard to use to open with a glove. You pull out the little crown guard lock like that, and it's just a little latch, so you pull that out and you can use the crown. And it's fairly easy to use. It's just for safety when diving, and it looks obviously really cool with this case size and design. So if we move on to the movement, this watch actually has a clear case back, and as you can see, this is the Panerai P3001 movement, which is actually pretty interesting in that it has a power reserve indicator, but it's on the back of the movement. It's actually very similar to the P3002 movement, which actually has a power reserve indicator on the dial. It says on their website that that's actually just the main difference between the two. There's other versions of this that use the 3002 movement. I just thought that was pretty interesting. But as you guys can see, it has kind of a unique finishing style in that it has perlage underneath the balance wheel, but the rest is kind of very industrial looking. I mean, it's not like the classic, as I like to call them, Shenzhen striping on many Japanese movements where it's basically just straight lines and they didn't really want to finish it. It actually looks really, really nice. They have a bead blast finish behind that power reserve indicator, which is great for the contrast on the hand there. And I think that looks really cool. So yeah, the movement is finished very, very well. It has obviously a 3-day power reserve, which I think is great. Anything above 2 days, that's perfect, more than enough. So, as you guys can see, the dial on this watch is very it harkens back to vintage Panerais. It's made to look like an old watch, given the lume color and everything. It's got gold hands, which make it, again, look a little bit more old. And I think it's got a really cool vintage look to it. One thing that I kind of criticize this watch is that it only has a 100 meter water resistance, and given that Panerais of old were obviously for diving, it's kind of strange that they would have such a low water resistance rating. I'm a little bit skeptical of that, but overall I actually kind of like this watch a lot. It's probably too large for my wrist, as we'll see in a wrist shot right here, and I have a pretty average size wrist, so I would probably advise against wearing this watch if you have sort of a small wrist or medium like mine. Mine's about 6.5 inches in diameter, but as you guys can see, it's got kind of a cool classic look. The strap is very, very comfortable, very easy to use, no complaints there. And I kind of get you probably won't dive with a watch that has a leather strap, or this watch, given that its original retail price was $9,600, but I still think it should have a higher water resistance rating. So if you like this video, please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you.